This morning, during this winter retreat, we've been, the community's been doing readings every day, and sharing different teachings that they come across as one sort of wishes, whatever strikes one, and suttas, different teachers, Thai teachers, Western teachers, whatever. And it's been through the community a couple times now. And this morning, after, there was some suggestion to read from Ajahn Chah's biography, which is coming out soon. Last winter we had read the manuscript as it was being pulled together, and there's a couple of the chapters we never received and didn't read out. So anyway, one of the things that came to mind in reading today was when I first went to stay with Ajahn Chah and trained with him. Of course, I didn't understand Thai, and you sit listening to Dhamma talks and teachings and not understanding the language, but then over time, then some words start to appear. And one of the words that's used in the Thai language, it's kind of a compound word, and it's from Pali, satipanna. And so they go, sati being mindfulness, panya being wisdom, and Ajahn Munindo, he translated it quite interestingly as truth-discerning awareness, and I thought that was really, really important way to reflect on the that kind of perspective. And of course, Ajahn Chah put a lot of emphasis on this development of truth-discerning awareness, where we both are attentive and alert and reflective on our experience and be lifting up that our experience into mind, so that there is this quality of truth-discerning awareness. And I mean, it's and it's something that, it's not sort of, you wait until you practice and you practice and you get all the jhanas and you develop all the insights, and then you finally get truth-discerning awareness. I mean, this is something that you cultivate and develop in very ordinary circumstances, and internalize this quality of awareness and attention. Truth-discerning awareness, where we are paying attention to what is true, what is in accordance with the way things are, and what is and what actually is worth being aware of, but be attentive to. So it's an important quality and capacity of our minds to be paying attention to and cultivating. And in Ajahn Chah's teaching, he was always bringing attention back to suffering, to dukkha, and not in the sense of, oh, woe is me, I'm suffering, but a sense of seeing dukkha as an object of attention and reflection, and something that is say, worthy of developing this truth discerning awareness of. So I can remember one time Ajahn Chah, for myself, I was going through something, and it was confusing. It was kind of it was difficult, and on a certain level even kind of embarrassing, and says, oh, why this is stupid, and bringing it to Ajahn Chah and talking with him about it, and he was sort of, is it dukkha? And you say, oh, well, of course, because then it becomes impersonal, and it doesn't. You say, oh, this is dukkha, and so then it's something to be observed, investigated, attentive to, with this quality of truth discerning awareness. So one's not getting swept up in it, caught up in it, burdened by it. It's just something to pay attention to. And this is where paying attention, it's like the Buddha, when the Buddha talks of what is the burden that we carry, and it's the burden of the 5 aggregates subject to clinging. That's the burden, and but it's also what we think we are, or what we identify with, what we get caught up in, and we forget to just sort of look at it on an experiential level of what is this? What's happening here? What is the nature of this situation, or this circumstance, or this feeling, or this particular reaction? And because the nature of the mind is to go into some sort of story, and go into the story. There's we love our stories, and so we get caught into it. Whether it's a story of me, which is usually endlessly fascinating, or the story of somebody else, which then usually is a good way to deflect either the blame or the desire, either the aversion or the desire, is to put it on to somebody else. The story is out there, and but for the Buddha's path of practice and path of liberation, of freedom, is recognizing that the way to freedom is this developing of a truth discerning awareness that recognizes these 5 aggregates of of being that are subject to clinging. And there's a discourse where the Buddha talks of the what we are obsessed by, that we are measured by. What we're measured by, that we are, that we basically become, or I get identified with, or we're counted as that. So that and then what are we obsessed by, and what is the particular event? The obsession is form, material form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness, 5 aggregates of being. And this is what we keep getting obsessed with, and that's what we get measured by, and that's what we get associated with. So that's and it's our. I mean, there is that experience. I mean, that's what the basis of our experience is. It's these, because there is a difference between, say, the 5 aggregates of being, form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness, and the 5 aggregates subject to clinging, attachment. And it's it's not the aggregate itself that's a problem, because we have physical forms, and there are physical forms outside of us, or feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness are all there, and they can be used in the, say, employ of creating a burden, creating dukkha, and perpetuating it, or it can be used to foster this truth, and to rely on truth discerning awareness. And of course the problem is around identification, what we identify with, what we pick up as an identity, and so much of the what we identify with seems so solid or so real that we don't bring it back to its fundamental constituents. And of course what we identify with is always just these form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, and then we make a story out of it, and we build our likes and dislikes around it, and we have build up the stories of what this person said or that person's done, or we have the sense of me being right and them being wrong, me being wrong, them being right. I mean, it's just whatever's going to make you suffer. I mean, pick your choice. It's just, but all it is form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, and we keep identifying with it. We pick it up as an identity, and even things that are not even there's certain things that like, one of the things that made me reflect on it is just it's been looking at from time to time these past week I've been look at the news, and it's the Olympics, Winter Olympics. And why do I root for Canada? And I definitely do not root for America. But I've lived in America for 20 odd years, 21 years or so. I haven't lived in Canada for 45 years or something. And it's so stupid. But it's, there it is. And it's sort of the identification. And it seems silly. But you start seeing, oh wow, this is really, the things that we pick up as identity and hold on to. And all it is a memory. And there are some things which are real. And one of the things that, it is indicative of is just how deeply rooted that idea of identity is, especially, whether, say, like nationality is one, but it also goes back to the past in terms of our past conditioning. So, like, there's certain smells that I'll identify with, say, Canada and growing up in childhood, and or certain things that that you associate with childhood. So then that pulls you into memories and identity of something, and doesn't even have to be good or bad, but it's just so those are there, and so that truth discerning awareness is needed to be lifted up to sort of see, well, what's this built on? And something like who you root for in the Olympics is pretty benign, but it's indicative of the roots of what we identify with, and to be able to investigate more clearly how that works, and because all that, again, it's coming back to being able to look at things in a way that one is pulling apart the built-up assumption of the things we do identify with, and again, whether it's our background or age or gender or particular views that we might hold. Why do we even hold on to them? Why do we build something out of them? Because we tend to make it a burden, and that's the Buddhist teachings are completely about freeing the heart from that burden. There's different ways that the classical ways that the Buddha points to like identity view. Again, looking at those again, the 5 aggregates of being, and saying that seeing physical form as self. This is self. This is who I am. This is me. Or self as being me, being possessed of physical form. Physical form as in self. Self as in physical form. These different permutations, but they have the different ways of that we create identification and identity. And the same with feeling, perception, memory, mental formations, thoughts, emotion, and consciousness. That being able to recognize the whole sense of the creation of a identity and I-making. It's something that we do, and of course we do it, picking up certain realms of our experience, but they are. That's all they. I mean, these are things to be attentive to that are a basis of our experience. This physical form, whether it's our body or internal form, external form, feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, memory, association. These five aggregates of being, when they are subject to clinging, we create an identity, identification, and a burden. And again, it can be just a mood of the mind, or a projection onto something around, memories, and that just being able to contemplate the one that this is all it is, for how solid and real it feels. This is who I am. This is what my experience is. Coming back to those building blocks. The Buddha's of course, there's many discourses where the Buddha picks this up as a theme. Certainly, one of the well-known ones is a discourse to one of a wandering ascetic who would go and have discussion with the Buddha from time to time, Vajragota, and the that propensity of say the religious seekers in the Buddha's time, and to the same degree even now, you're trying to hammer out some kind of speculative philosophy or viewpoint or position that one can take and sort of have, okay, this is what I believe in, this must be the truth. This is a truth I can believe in. And it either is geared to the sense of the world and is being, say in the Buddha's time, the world being eternal, not eternal, finite, infinite, or in the nature of the self or the being same as the body, self or the soul being one thing, the body another, and then its nature of in terms of a future life. Say, what is the destination after death of an enlightened being, or the destination of so they exist after death? Are they annihilated after death? So, both exist and don't exist. Neither exist, don't exist. So these it can seem, say, formulaic, but you realize that, well, those fundamentally those same kind of speculative views tend to repeat themselves in the human condition, even in modern times in terms of philosophy and religious view. And because he's asking the Buddha what his view is, and what his viewpoint, what his position is, and the Buddha is saying, no, 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 that's not it. And that these are not fruitful ways of viewing experience. And then finally, the Vajragota is sort of, do you not believe? Don't you have some kind of belief? And the Buddha says, well, the Tathagata has relinquished that tendency to views and viewpoints and standpoints, because they're entangling and they're complicating, thicket of views, wilderness of views, contortion of views. But then what the Buddha points to is how in terms of a way out, is looking at the basis of experience from the base of what the Tathagata experiences is the experience of form, physical form, its arising and its ceasing, the experience of feeling, and the arising of feeling, the cessation of feeling, the presence of perception, the arising of perception, cessation of perception. Same with mental formations. Same with consciousness. So that takes a tremendous presence of mind and truth discerning awareness to be able to stay with that, rather than going to the story, rather than going to the proliferation, rather than going to the setting oneself up in opposition to others or to the world or toward oneself. There is this experience, and this is what the Buddha said. And by doing that, that is the end of the I-making, mind-making, and the underlying tendencies toward conceit, and the ahankara, mamankara, mananusaya, and that in itself is freedom. Now that is a relinquishing of the burden. So there's this this kind of attention to this simple quality of this. I think of coming back to the Ajahn Chah's refrain over and over again, this sort of satipanna, this truth discerning awareness, is something that we're bringing up over and over in different ways, and being able to establish an attention and alertness, so that we're not creating a burden that keeps burdening us with suffering. And the Buddha's just seeing. There's another discourse where the Buddha talks of the freedom from, the cultivation of the Eightfold Path, development of that Eightfold Path, with the focus on that cultivation of relinquishment and understanding, of the of physical form, and understanding, say, the allure of physical form as the say, whatever is pleasant or pleasurable that is associated with it, that's its allure. There's an attraction. It's not that there's not anything, that there isn't that pleasantness, but it is an allure that we tend to, we can get trapped by, we can build these attachments to, and it can be, and we can create a burden. And the drawback is of course either the painful experience of being associated with the pain, especially physical form, that they're not always comfortable. It's like I just shifted my position. That wasn't out of comfort and ease. It's just the nature of a body, physical form, or the separation from the pleasant when that ends. And the relinquishing of the attachment and delight that we take in physical form is the release, is the escape. And then the Buddha of course goes through the five, the other of the five khandhas: feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. And so it's in relationship to this is what the Eightfold Path is for. This is what the development of sila, samadhi, panya, of virtue, of our meditation, of our wisdom discernment is for, this understanding and relinquishing around these five aggregates of being. Because that's when we're able to see it clearly and see the burden as a burden, and then not creating the identity and identification with it, that in itself is a release. So it's not something far away. I mean, it's right here. That's what the Buddha says. It's in this fathom-long body. This is where the truth is. This is where the Dhamma is, and this is where the ending of suffering is right here in this body with its feelings and perceptions. And so that's we can experience that for ourselves, but it does rely on this truth discerning awareness. So I'll offer that for reflection this afternoon.